You are now listening to the Hunter's Advantage podcast. We preserve the history and sport of hunting through curious conversation and action-packed hunts, as well as offering you tips and strategy for more successful hunts. The Hunter's Advantage podcast is powered by Out on a Limb Manufacturing. Out on a Limb is a family-owned company based right here in Oklahoma that makes tree stands, saddle platforms, climbing sticks, and so much more.
Christian, I have a quick question.
What's that?
What bites sound harder, a hippo or an alligator?
No idea.
It's a trick question. The Ridge Runner 2.0 bites harder than both of them. But all jokes aside, we use these products all across the land on public or private. These help us get into any tree we want and hunt where the deer actually are.
Most men go to the grocery store for their meat, but these products help you go to God's grocery store. I have used the Out on a Limb Ridge Runner 2.0 and the Shakar sticks for the last few years hunting public land bucks, and I've actually shot several bucks out of this setup. If you want to support the podcast and get some Out on a Limb equipment, make sure to go to outonalimbmfg.com and use code HNTA10 for 10% off at checkout. Once again, if you want to support the podcast, go to outonalimbmfg.com and use code HNTA10 at checkout for 10% off. Now let's get back to the podcast. We're trying something out that's a little bit new. We got Taylor Smith from Outdoor Defiance on, Peyton obviously from HA. We're doing a crossover, like a bi-weekly podcast where we go live so we can talk to people. We've done a lot of Q&A podcasts in the past, but we wanted to do one where it's more live, and we're streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok right now. So that's what we're up to. Who shot the biggest 10 of the group this year? It's funny you had to say 10 point. That's oddly specific.
A little one-sided. Hey,
who shot?
Hey, maybe Gunner. We might be able to get him beat.
Oh, did Gunner shoot a big 10?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. We're live on Instagram now. All of us are. All right. So as we get some Q&A and stuff rattling in, we can work on that stuff. But let's start off as we're just now starting to get some viewers. Okay. We're January 9. Most of the country shutting down for deer season. Oklahoma has 5 or 6 days left. What are you guys planning for the rest of the year? Peyton, start with you.
If you're gonna hunt anymore in Oklahoma, you're gonna need to pack some clothes because the weather is gonna get nasty.
Two pairs of undies on this one.
Yeah, you know how I roll. I've always carried 2, but it might be 3 for me.
Are you gonna go shoot some does?
That's the plan. I'm pretty weak when it comes to the cold, so we'll see. I'm going to try to get out there and get it done within an hour. That's the plan. Does that always work? Never has, actually.
You're going to drive 8 hours to hunt for 1 hour. That's
man, when you get into 16, see, like duck hunting, when it's 0 degrees, no problem. But when you have to sit in a stand, still not moving, the cold doesn't treat you well.
Taylor, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna get out any of the rest of the year?
No, I'm just watching my cameras at this point. All the deer that I wanted survived, and gonna let them keep living their life where they are.
Oh, well, your neighbor's not going to, so why are you going to?
Oh, they are. They're not going to be out there.
You think so? We thought so too until we saw the biggest deer we ever had, Gonzo, via Instagram. I'm telling you.
R.I.P.
Yeah.
What about this one? So Matt Lewis said, anyone see that giant posted on the hunting public yesterday? I haven't.
I'm
gonna look though real quick now.
Yeah, you can't say that and not expect us to grab our phones.
Yeah, my phone's on TikTok Live. I can't be doing that.
Did they kill her? Did someone they know they killed it?
I don't know.
You think is that on Instagram?
I'm assuming. What Matt, are you talking about? You talking about Instagram? I didn't. Oh, he might be talking about YouTube too.
There's nothing on Insta. Just some birds and some dead rabbits.
Yeah, I don't. Dead rabbits, snowshoe hares. Yeah,
we went rabbit hunting.
I didn't see the giant posted on the hunting public yesterday, so you'll have to send us a link in the chat. Mason said, "We know, Peyton."
I know what he's talking about, but
What is he talking about?
I think the undies situation.
You talking about the 2 to 3 pair deep?
Yeah. You'll get there one day. You'll understand.
How many people want to know how many pairs or how many rolls of toilet paper do you use per season? Do you keep some in your truck?
That's a good question. Next year I'll start keeping a tally. But to answer that question, I have one underneath my back seat, and then one in my center glove console, one in my bag, and then one in my duck hunting bag. So
Does it really count if one pair is a thong, Peyton? For 2 pairs of underwear?
No, it's half. It's half. So
Peyton started that TikTok trend. Have you seen it where it's like getting dressed for tomorrow or this morning's hunting trip or fishing trip, and they're throwing down their clothes and they throw like a thong and it pauses for a second and they keep throwing it down and then it shows them walking out the door and they stop and pick it out.
Oh God. Yeah,
Peyton
I think that's not enough material for Peyton to get even one good wipe in. So I know he doesn't bring those.
True that.
Okay, Matt said not sure. Let me check. It was gnarly. Yeah, send us.
I went and looked
pictures.
at their YouTube. There's nothing.
Yeah, they get more views on a rabbit hunting video than I can get on hunting a deer. So that's pretty great.
Robert sounds like he's referring to be out there hunting.
Yeah, that's sick, Robert. Robert will be out there. He's got a nice profile picture of a coyote too.
Built different.
End of season. Taylor, do you have any? You were talking about your deer that survived, and you're not going to hunt the rest of the year because you want to probably to stay on your property. You got some good ones that you're waiting on. I mean, unless your neighbors listen to this podcast, you don't have to disclose. But
is Gunner on here? No, I have some good deer. All 3 of my places I hunt. I think next year will be a really good year if they stay around. I have a challenging time keeping some of my 4.5-year-olds back. I don't know where they go, but sometimes on some of these properties they just don't stick around when they get 5.5. I don't know if maybe they're
on your neighbor's wall.
Yeah, wherever they spring or summer, maybe when they turn 5.5, they're the man of the woods over there, so they stay over there instead of traveling to me. But no, next year should be good. We
got a really good one here. What do you guys think about this one?
That's awesome.
Is it true? I don't know. I've never shot next Peyton. I mean,
I can hit a bobcat, but I can't hit a. Well, I can hit a deer, but I can't make a lethal shot, I guess, on a deer. So
are we talking? Yeah, are we talking lethal shots? Or are we talking?
No, this is funny. So for people that are going to just listen to this on audio, Jared Griffith, the cuz, said, I heard Peyton was the best shot out of the whole group. Is this true? Peyton, what did you say about I'm not good enough to kill him, but I'm not bad enough to miss?
Yeah, that's my motto is I haven't missed anything. It's been a long time since I've missed, but this year was really about the only year that I shot, back when we hunted public land, I think was the last time I'd hit a deer. That was a long time ago when we were in Oklahoma State. That was the last time I think I hit a deer and didn't kill it. But yeah, this year it's been
struggle bus.
Fun. It's been so fun.
You know how bad I want to reach up and push that sound that's on this track, on these pod trackers. The wah, wah, wah. No, the sad one.
Do you have the sad one on yours?
Yeah.
I don't think I do. Got a cash register.
That one.
Oh no. Jared said, as long as you draw blood, that's all that matters. That is exactly right.
Yeah. Then I might be.
You might be the best shot out of the group if it's just drawing blood.
Yeah. Look at my track record.
Dude, I was feeling pretty good this year, and I had a doe come in to, I thought she was at 20 yards, and this is like a couple weeks ago, right before Christmas, right before Christmas. I thought she was at 20 yards, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna just pull back and wax her. I don't even need to range it. And I drew back, and she stepped out. I shot, and I like cut some hair on the bottom of her belly. She was at 25, but the difference between 20 and 25 was like the difference between me hitting her and absolutely missing. And we're shooting a really, really heavy arrow this year, and so I think that had something to do with it. But it was, I couldn't believe 5 yards was the difference between hitting one and not hitting one.
Yeah, it's yeah, it's crazy when you get those heavy arrows. When especially I go out and practice in the backyard, I can only practice 25 yards, somewhere in there. But being 2 yards off of your scroll wheel, because I use a single pin, it makes a significant difference, more than you would like with the heavy arrow. I mean, you're talking 2 inches. I mean, if I'm off 2 yards, it's it's about 2 inches where that makes that 2 inches is a lot,
Is that a lot?
Yeah, I hope so, because that's what I'm working with. So on that scroll wheel.
Yeah, it really does. Taylor, do you know anything about your arrow setup? Like, do you weigh your arrow at all, or are you just set and forget it kind of guy?
I don't set up and forget it. I buy the same arrows every time. And
so how long are your crossbow bolts? Are they 20, 30 inches, or?
It depends which one I take out. I got 5 to choose from. I got the 243 crossbow. It actually shoots a 243 bullet. It's kind of cool. And the other one shoots like 500 yards, so it's pretty cool too. But no, we don't. When it comes to that, when it comes to crossbows, you really don't got to worry about your bolts. I shoot anywhere from 8 inches. If I break them off, I'll kind of just cut the tip, just 8, 9 inches.
Just put it back on there.
And put it on there, and then for longer shots, if you shoot those shorter ones like that, they go farther and faster. So
that's what I'm talking about.
Now, nothing goes faster than the 243 crossbow. That shoots like 500 yards.
Jeez, I need to get me one of those. All right, we got the first question rolling in. Jordan Wiley says, "What's your opinion on licking branches / mock scrapes?" Taylor, go first. What you got?
Absolutely. During that, I don't know, early October, maybe not, be getting to mid-October. I've told you this in a couple other podcasts. Mock scrapes have actually saved me from going into, your 2-3 week period before rut starts and into rut, where my big deer have left, or I thought they've left, and I've thrown up cameras on mock scrapes, and they've saved me because the deer are actually hitting that, not really hitting the food source. And so absolutely mock scrapes. I think if you're not doing it, then you're doing something wrong. Licking branches, haven't done licking branches, but they still work like a mock scrape, in my opinion. But like you said, a good scrape on a good scrape line, you'll get some pictures of some stuff you don't think that's there.
Well, the mock scrape is interesting. I was thinking about it this year. I shot 2 bucks over feeders and 2 bucks not, one in a wheat field and one with my recurve on that draw hunt. And the more that I hunt over feeders, the less that I enjoy it. I don't know why. I just don't enjoy it as much as I used to before. And I was thinking about it, like for me and Peyton, we have a lease, and we're like, hey, how can we bring deer in without planning a food plot? Because I'm not going to rent a plow, rent a tractor, and rent all this crap just to put in food. I'm going to end up spending more on a food plot than I am the lease. And mock scrapes was something that I was thinking about. Like, it'd be really nice to set some mock scrapes up throughout the place. And I've hunted a lot of scrapes. I haven't done a lot of like mock scraping, but I definitely hunt scrapes, especially in October on public land. And we've had a lot of success doing that. Peyton, actually, I hunted a spot where on public, I had been hunting her for a couple of years, and then Peyton's brother started hunting a similar spot, and he put a trail camera up and a mock scrape, and I watched a buck hit his mock scrape when I was hunting like 40 yards away from his camera. So I've seen him work. It's just not something I've done a ton of, just because I haven't really had to. I think this year I'll start doing it.
I mean, look at that video I have of that big 10-point with the huge eyebrows, the eye guards.
Big eyebrows? That's sick.
Yeah, I mean, they're huge, real bushy. And but I wouldn't have known he was there. If I wasn't there and he came in and worked that mock scrape and went and bedded down at that doe, 2 years ago, and I wouldn't have known he was there because he never was out in my camera until 3 days later. But the 3 days between when I saw him until I got my first picture, I saw him every day, and he was working the scrape. So I mean,
well, it's interesting too because there's a lot of deer that you will never get a picture of them at a feeder, and it's like I feel like those deer on mock scrapes, I feel like that's just another opportunity to get pictures of bucks that you don't necessarily get pictures of all the time.
This is a hot take, and I'm kind of leaning towards it, starting to believe it, but I don't think I don't know how to say it, as in I don't 100% think so, but I don't think when you get a new deer in rut, I think a lot of these deer aren't coming to the feeders. I think you have a better chance of getting it at, especially a spinner, because I think I don't know, man. I've tried it, but there's not enough there yet for me to fully believe it. But man, I've had better luck at bigger deer coming in during rut and hitting, if it's just poured on the ground in a pile than it is on a feeder. And like at my spot at the bend, where that's talking about the scrapes versus pouring the corn on the ground. We have a feeder 100 yards from a couple of these scrapes, and they won't be there. But I've poured corn on the ground in a different area and have had a couple 160s hit it just right there, and that's literally 100 yards from the feeder. So I heard a guy talking on a podcast where I got this. He said, this time of year, he said, you should just might as well, he said, it's weird to say it, but if you have them up, he says, you might as well just take the battery out and forget it and pour some corn on the ground, because you're never going to have a mature buck under that thing if they're new.
Like a buck that wasn't raised on that sort of thing. Like he didn't hit it every year for his life.
He was just coming in because he got a little whiff of something.
That's interesting. What do you think about that, Pate? Do you think mature bucks don't use feeders like that, new bucks?
I have no idea. The rut's just so weird. I wouldn't be surprised. We saw a lot of different activity, we're on our lease, to where I wouldn't be surprised if even a buck avoids a feeder. I wouldn't be surprised. Just it's the stuff I saw this year just blows my mind. I don't think we know as much as we think we know about deer.
Absolutely not.
Well, the spinning thing is interesting because like we've killed some really mature bucks, like 7+ year olds off of feeders and stuff.
Yeah,
but
in early season,
we've had them like their whole life.
That's what I'm saying.
Like I've seen them multiple years, and it's like, I don't know. And you see that a lot in the Midwest, especially urban areas and stuff. People don't run feeders. They just dump corn piles. They don't run feeders. It's like, well, why don't you run a feeder? It's like, well, it's not natural. And it's so interesting that a feeder spinning, I understand that's like intrusive, but corn on the ground, they just like come up to it and they're like, oh, it's on the ground. It's from the earth. It's like they just disregard it. Dalen Sloan said, got my biggest buck to date with bow this year, 147. What's y'all's biggest with a bow? Go ahead. Either one of you.
Go ahead.
I don't know the exact score.
It was so big I didn't even score it.
They're not over 180. I don't even look at them anymore. Just kidding. No, I haven't really gotten scored. I rough scored him. He's a 156. That's my biggest so far. And I shot him, and then 4 days later, I had an encounter with another one that would have beat him. He's easily 170. But I couldn't get it done. But be on the safe side, he's probably 150, maybe 155. But
that's a good one with the bow. Carol, what are you up to?
Well, the biggest scoring, he's right above me. I look at him every time. The biggest
not
scoring,
much to look at, but
yeah, he ain't much.
Mike's up there.
But the 11 point, I scored him quickly, very conservatively at 129. So he could go 128. He could go 131, but I would say 129. But he's, as far as score wise, the one that I'd shot a few years before, he's definitely bigger, way bigger frame, but he didn't score as much. I think he was 126, but looks about twice as big.
Well, that's what happens when you have a mid 130s 8-point that breaks off both of its eye guards. It starts looking a lot like 125. His eyebrows. Sorry, yeah. His eyebrows.
Eyebrows will save you in a deer like that.
I shot my biggest bow buck and my biggest buck either way. Any weapon. It was October 30th this year. Peyton was actually there. And he scored 150 on the dot. And it was funny because I let Peyton add up all the numbers because I didn't want to add them up wrong or add something. Because when I shoot them, they're about 5 inches bigger. I just add that just for me, but, I let Peyton add it up and it was like 142 and something without all the eights. And I was like, there's no way the eights are 7 or 8 inches. And then Peyton started adding up the eights, and he added them together and it was 150 and 0 eights. I was like, oh my gosh, that's crazy.
That's cool though.
Yeah. And he had probably an inch broke off his eye guard. So a low 150s is my biggest. And that was my goal this year. We actually had one on this year that Peyton passed. How many times did you pass Mr. Next Year this year? 3 times? Peyton
times.
passed a 182 three times. Yeah. We had a buck that was probably mid 150s, maybe 160s that Peyton passed 3 times, which it's hard passing a buck bigger than anything you or
Here comes the next question. Why would you pass your biggest bull buck?
Hey, I'll hit it.
The next question.
Why would you pass your biggest bow buck, Peyton?
In hopes that he actually would get to 180. But I don't know. I passed. This is the hot topic for me. I passed my biggest bow buck probably 5 times this year.
Different bucks?
5 different bucks. Yes. They were all, every single buck they weren't old. They were probably mature enough. Some of them were mature enough, like the 8 points to shoot, but I was more in hopes of, 135 inches. If somebody else gets him, it's not the end of the world, but if he makes it, it's like, okay, he could be, you never know. He could be 135. He could be he might magically grow to a 10 point. I have high hopes. I have no idea, but he could be 150 next year. We saw Mr. Next Year grow he was a mainframe 8 with a little extra. He went from 130s to arguably 160s, low 160s, high 150s. So yeah, just in hopes that it just takes one to blow up, and good food source, good water, and no neighbors, and he might blow up.
No neighbors until you realize an outfitter's your best neighbor.
We probably shouldn't discuss that because I'm going to get very irritated at that.
That's awesome. Tristan Moss said an arrow fits in a 410.
Nice.
It's kind of sounds like you've done that before. That's interesting.
Get a blank. It's easy.
That's awesome. Tristan killed a freaking huge buck this year. That was awesome. Okay, here we go. Dalen Sloan said, would you rather hunt a pinch point bench or a big holler? A pinch point bench or a big holler? So
depends what part of the area you're in, really.
Well, what area? Let's say a mountainous area.
What's your mountainous area? You want to hunt that, in my opinion, hunt the pinch point bench.
Why so?
I feel like they'd travel more. I don't know. I don't hunt mountain areas. You guys do.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, it's tough. This is a really, really good question because when we went, we really focused on those pinch points, those draws, those, all those points where like, okay, here's a funnel. I focused those, didn't see anything. Other people in the group were like, we're hunting out in the middle of a field and we can see 300 yards and we're seeing deer all the time. And it was working. How many deer? And I don't know. I couldn't tell you. Do the opposite of what I think is obviously what goes correct.
If you're down
like that.
Down in Arkansas, you're going to have to try to get more of those pinch points, I feel like, in the mountains versus like if you're in the open more in Kansas and Iowa, a big holler, I feel like deer in rut because they're trying to push out the does out there. That's a tough question.
Which one of those is limited in the area that you're hunting to? Like
right.
If you're in Kansas, like you'll see it in Kansas where there's these big, deep cuts, and there's only one of them and it's a one big cut and it's the only place that's got any trees and it's usually like cedars and stuff. And they'll lead up to a big ag field. It's like, well,
I wonder where they're bedding.
Yeah. Yeah. I had that happen to me in Kansas City a couple of years ago where I was walking through one of those big haulers like that. And I'm like, well, I'm going to set up because there was a bunch of cattle in this place too. And I got about 30 yards where I want to set up. And here came about 100-inch buck running by. And I was like, okay, I'll set up right here. And I did. And proceeded to see nothing but a bunch of cows. But the pinch point, yeah, that's probably a lot more meat. A lot of those weehaws, dude, in Kansas, they suck because you're literally get 50, 60, 70 cows on an 80-acre piece. And you're like, okay, there's not a single blade of grass on this entire thing.
Yeah, that was like when you shot that buck up there, hiding behind that rock. I mean, that thing was just a dirt pasture. I remember when you sent me that picture, I was like, golly.
It's a good hide though, right?
Yeah, I mean, you did great.
Enough.
Did you help me drive that buck out, Pate?
Yes.
So when you walked out and you saw that rock, were you like, are you serious?
I mean, first thoughts is it had to be freaking dark. Is the word. So yeah, I knew that after the whole story, I was like, yeah, it adds up, because if it was like daylight, it's like, you had to be in that prime time for that to work, and it worked out perfectly.
Well, it was pretty. I mean, it was getting pretty dark, but it was crazy because I was hunting like 40 or 50 yards off the private, and it was like a private Milo field. So there's like 60 deer in this field, and I'm hunting a hay pasture, like a meadow, and there is not a single deer in my field, and they're all like walking down the edge of the fence. I'm like, crap, dude. Well, this doe and this fawn jumped the fence, and I'm watching the doe and the fawn. I'm like, okay, this is my chance to see if my rock is going to work. Like if I'm going to pass the rock test. Well, they walked and they immediately like looked at me, and I'm like, okay, that's not good. They half crescent moon circled me, and the doe got downwind of me, and she was like, and then ran off. I was like, okay, but I could have shot her. So this definitely worked. So I ended up like 3 bucks came walking down the fence. So I ended up snort wheezing at him, and it ended up working out, which was hilarious because I was about to pack up my stuff, or I was starting to pack up my stuff, and I looked and I just saw a buck circling downwind of me, and I was like, not again. It's not getting me the same way as the doe. I saw it had antlers and flopped it. Yeah, that's a lot of those.
I guess my answer to this question would be I would rather hunt. The way I hunt, it's not really a big hauler, I guess, but I like to hunt a more opened area that has several pinch points leading to it. So I kind of get best of both worlds.
Do you hunt in the pinch points or in the open?
In the open, because if they're coming out of one of the pinch points to go the other, they have to come in this opening, which strategically my food plot's planted there too. So
there wouldn't be tons of acres of winter wheat in that spot, would there?
Tons of acres, Just a couple.
Just a couple. Yeah, I mean, I would like to hunt more of that, like Pennsylvania type of stuff that I see people hunt quite a bit. We hunt a little bit of that, like mountainous stuff, but I don't think it's as deep or as cut as the Pennsylvania. The topography is not as steep, but
yeah,
there's some spots that we hunt in the mountains that you look down and you're like, nope, not carrying my tree stand down there. There's no way. The spot, I don't think you were there, Pate, but the spot my Uncle Justin, he shot a buck this year, and it was like walking into hell. It was like a straight down walk the entire way down into this spot. And I was like, why is there a buck living down here? And there was one like deep cut that went down here, but it was a drop off. So it dropped off like 30, 40 feet. And there was like a half crescent moon, like a horseshoe, where the deer had to, unless they want to go down that ledge, they couldn't go down that ledge. So they'd have to walk around the ledge, and it created a pinch right there. Like they have to come by here. So it was a deep hollow by a pinch, and he had a 144-inch buck on public walk right by him, and he shot it. And I was like, dude, that's awesome. And it was super, super steep.
Wow.
So pinch and holler just together. That's how I do it. Okay, everybody that's listening, live Q&A podcast, please drop questions below. I'm looking on Instagram. Several people have joined, came and gone. What the heck, guys? Don't come and go.
Yeah, we're not that quick stop. Jeez.
There we go. Dude, have you looked at any of the stuff on the CJ Alexander buck, Taylor?
Man, that's a rabbit hole. We're talking the Ohio guy, right?
Yeah. Have you looked at any of that? I just saw a podcast came out about it. The Hunter guys who initially had him on.
Mm-hmm.
They just did another podcast. It was our take on the Alexander buck investigation. So I guess people are getting more involved in it now.
It's a little weird. Stuff don't add up. Like you say, I went back the next day, but all of his pictures are night, or the next morning, all the pictures are night, and I don't know. There's something there that's not adding up. And I feel like either way you look at it, I feel like there could be something wrong because, I don't know. I don't know. I guess I didn't know what the temperature was up there, but why would you find a buck during the day and wait for night pictures?
There's only like one picture of the buck on the ground during the day, and it's like a real close-up headshot of it. And have you watched some videos about it? Did you watch the video we posted about it?
I saw your video, and then you came back with another one, and I was like, my boy's trying to get himself in some trouble, so I better look into it. So I went and looked into it, man. It's a little fishy. It's like you said, it'll come. The truth will come out because I don't know. I don't believe it, but
you personally don't. What do you think, Pate?
Didn't he supposedly forget his phone?
Yeah,
he forgot it at home.
No. First of all, he was. I don't know. I don't remember the whole story, but first of all, you don't. If you're hunting alone, you don't forget your phone. That's your line of communication. I will never go hunting without a line of communication. First of all, if I fall out of a tree or anything, and people have their phones glued to their hand right off the bat when he's like, "Oh, I forgot my phone." It's like, they didn't.
Yeah, like
you may have forgot it, but it was on purpose.
Well, it's like everything they question. He has an excuse for. It's
like what?
Well, just like the whole, why did you go look for it in the morning, supposedly, but have night pictures, and it's this, forgot my phone. Well, if you went back, you should have been able to grab it for the morning.
Yeah.
It's iffy. Like I said, I can make my opinion about it, but I really think something might come out of the deal. And if that's the case, hope they use him for not what to do.
Yeah, well, it's if
and I'll let me go back on that. If he did it right, I'm happy for him. I don't want anyone to be like, "Oh, you're jealous," or I just don't like people that do stuff wrong on that end.
Yeah, that's a good point. If he did it legit, well, it sucks that within like 3 weeks of killing the buck and doing all the podcasts and stuff, it's now in the Ohio DNR's hand. So it's like, okay, something was a little fishy about that. Granted, it's like when you shoot a 240-inch buck, it wouldn't surprise me if it gets confiscated. We had Don Higgins on the podcast, and he said one of his first 200-inch buck got taken from him because there was a bunch of people that claimed he poached it. I'm like, dang, is it really that easy? Like you shoot a 100 or 200-inch buck, and I'm like, Taylor poached that. Like they can just come take it. I don't really know how it works, but apparently there's some corrupt stuff with the Ohio DNR too, and how that all works. But I don't know. It's interesting.
Even when Gunner killed his, it was intense. Like hearing the stories, and people just unreal. We were at the Backwoods show, and this guy at a booth was telling people a story, and he was like, "I'd like to meet them in person." And,
wait, really?
Yeah. And we walked over there, and I shook his hand, and I was like, "Heard you want to meet us in person." He's like, and then it was like, he was acting like, "Oh, I heard this, I heard that," and we were like, "Well, you can listen to whoever you want, but this is what happened." And then at the end of it, he was like, "Well, I think those were lies." And I was like, "Well, I think you're right, sir."
So there was a guy that was telling you guys that Gunner shot that buck. He heard a story of Gunner poaching that buck, or
all different stories, dude. It was unreal. Apparently, Gunner's buck was a high fence buck that escaped in Kansas 3 days before. That was a story going around. And if you guys know where we hunt, Kansas is a good 120, 150 miles from us.
So, deer can travel out a day.
He got under that fence and just. And then, I mean, there is all sorts of just craziness.
Yeah, those big ones draw up controversy. It wouldn't surprise you one bit. So we gotta get
in our area. There were people like, if that deer was from around here, you guys would have more deer that look like him. And I'm like, crazy thing is, we do. Like, you know what I mean? But I don't have to back that up by showing everyone everything. But we do have a couple deer that look just like he did the year before he blew up. So,
well, and bucks that big are truly unicorns. Like, there's not that many that are going to be 200-inch typical 8x8.
Think of it this way: how many athletes have kids that aren't going to be what they are? You know, how many professional kids have, or how many professional athletes have kids that are just normal people? They're not going to be professional athletes. A lot. I mean, it's not in everyone's DNA. It just takes the right little strand, and here you are. Well, not me, but someone else.
Yeah, that's right.
I got the dad bod strand.
It's a recessive gene.
Yeah.
We got some good comments coming in. So though, I don't know how to spell that or say that name. Naman Nihas. I had to think when I said those two words together because it's like, is this one of the punks where they like, Mike
Anita, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you give me a shout out? Hi, Naman. Shout out to you, big guy.
Yeah. I'll give you another shout out. You drop me an Onyx pin.
Yeah.
So Tristan James Tree Moss said, what are y'all's thoughts on hunting a 35-yard by 60-yard winter wheat and clover mixed plot with thick oaks all the way around? What do you think, Taylor? This sounds like one of your setups.
It's trash. I would never do
that. I don't have any winter wheat that I get to hunt. So
no, I do that. I mean, you know, that's the favorite saying. If you plant it or if you grow it, they'll come. Or if you build it, they come. That's what I do with food plots. If you plant it, they eventually show up. And that's how we've done all of our spots. So they got to have food. And if you're putting the food in front of them, why would you not kind of sit by it?
Do you think acorns and winter wheat together is a 1-2 punch? Like I've seen situations where we hunted a buddy's place and he had a winter wheat field in the middle of a bunch of acorns, like a oak flats surrounded on all sides. You think? I mean, it is some diversity.
That's what our spots are. I mean, two of my favorite spots are exactly what you just said. Well, one of them is not really 35 by 60. It's more of 150 by 400, and then the other one's like 200 by 600. So, but it's surrounded by oak trees. I mean, that's this area I'm in. Now, my favorite spot, I mean, it's a little bit bigger than that, but winter wheat, clover mix, yeah. That's my favorite right there. That's my favorite ingredient to kill deer, is what he just asked what I thought about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think little micro plots, you can see it all over YouTube and stuff. People kill big deer on micro plots all the time. It's not something we get to do. We don't have a bunch of private access that we can manipulate because me and Carol hunt leases. And then on public, obviously, you can't leave any sort of bait or plant anything. So we don't get to do a ton of that. Yeah, some people allegedly think you can. I've seen on Kansas some big, nice corn piles where you can't bait on public. So, all right.
That was an interesting night.
That was funny.
I got a picture last 4 days of giant 10-point on public coming in right before daylight.
Where would that be?
On public.
Yeah, good answer.
In Oklahoma.
That narrows it down.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. Here we got it.
You said giant, so not call.
Oh,
not yeah. All right, here's a good one, Peyton. What do you think about this one? Justin Smith said, "Who has the greatest handlebar mustache in Hunter's Advantage history?" To me, it's a really good competition between Peyton and Justin, but I think Justin's is undeniable.
Yeah, Justin's is like, oh my God, there's a new sheriff in town.
Is he the one in the left in the picture? Dark shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see it from here.
Dude, you got a sick beard, Taylor. You probably have a nasty handlebar.
Yeah.
Have you ever done it?
This right here, I have to trim this. No, I've never done it, but like this right here, on both sides. I have to trim it because it'll be growing down here faster than my beard. So I know I would have a mean one, but
Next hunting season.
Next hunting season.
October 1, I want to see it on you.
If I kill my biggest archery deer, I'll shave it into handlebar. Mark my words.
All right, you're on live right now. You can't take it back now. All right, so Tristan James said, Tristan Moss said, worked for me this year. Absolutely, yeah. That buck that he killed a really good buck on that plot. So I had a few questions that came in through TikTok, and sorry these aren't linked, but we're gonna link them next time because you have to go live for 30 minutes before I can officially go live.
We're at 47 minutes. You want to try it? Say next time. Well,
I gotta like go in and copy this feed, and it's like a 8-step process. Yeah. So Sean S. Jackson on TikTok said, "Are you guys involved in any hunting organization with any hunting organizations in Oklahoma?" What's that?
We do a lot of stuff with Operation Freedom Outdoors. I don't know if you technically call that a hunting organization, but we do. They take vets and first responders out on hunting and fishing trips. We'll go help, and we guide their turkey, and then we get to go video. We get to go video not all of it. We get to video like we did their spoonbill. We've done the turkey for the last 2 years. Gunner and Gage went out and did a deer, I think last year, if I remember right. And then I actually got a text before I got in here. I'm scheduled to go February 3rd and video a waterfowl hunt for them. And so, yeah, we do that. If you're listening and you're a first responder in Oklahoma, look them up, Operation Freedom Outdoors. You can send all your stuff in, and they do drawings for all this. It's nothing out of your pocket other than maybe the fuel to get there. And some nights are overnight, or some are overnight trips. Some of them are kid trips. You can take your son or your kids. Sorry, I didn't mean to say son, but
don't assume the gender.
Yeah, I didn't mean that. I don't know what I was thinking, but and then some are day trips and some are overnight trips. And then they have like end of the year deal where everyone gets together and has a big dinner and hang out. So it's a blast. I'm very honored and privileged to be able to be a part of that. So yeah, I'm a part of that.
February 3rd. That's my birthday. You going to take me on that hunt? You need a second cameraman?
You a first responder?
So, a cameraman. I'll have the drone ripping.
Yeah, into the water.
Scare all the dang. Yeah, I did throw one into the water. I did throw one into the water. Well, I'll tell you what.
Getting that call. Hey, you selling your drone? I was like, no. Why? And he was like, I wrecked mine. Okay.
I didn't even wreck it. So I was getting this sick shot through the creek. I mean, my drone was like 12 inches off the water, and it was going through a bunch of trees hanging underneath the creek. And I was like, this is an awesome shot. And I don't know if you've ever used the DJIs, but a lot of times the screen will lag. And I'm like, hold on, where is it? And then I see it like go a little bit more. And then I'm like, it says disconnected. I'm like, where is it? And then we went and looked. It wasn't in the trees. Couldn't find it in the water. And I was like, maybe it returned to home. It didn't. It was in the water. Yeah. So like I lost a $350 drone.
We were out on the spoonbill trip, and I took the drone, and the guy was like, well, I took it off without anyone really looking at or paying attention to what I was doing because I was on the back of the boat, and I took it off, and he was like, he turned around and said, buddy, he said, I hate to tell you, but I have not really seen a good ending on drones on this boat. He said, because they'll get disconnected and try to go back home, and it'll be, where we were 10 minutes ago.
In the water?
Yeah. And, but I got it. The battery's about to go dead, and we were moving. It was kind of weird. My heart started pumping, but no, I just caught it when it came down.
Carol, do you remember in Saskatchewan when we were bear hunting? We were actually pike fishing, and we were running the drone out of the boat. Those were some nasty drone shots that we got out of the boat.
That made me, that. I've always loved the drone shots because at first, for the longest time, I was like, how do people get that shots? How is it possible? And then it finally clicked. Like, drones are super popular, especially now. And yeah, those shots were awesome. That was one of those, even you still can't even live up that moment, even in the drone shot, Saskatchewan was awesome.
Yeah, it was freaking cool. Well, now I got a Garmin InReach Mini 2, one of those little GPS phone. I guess they're just satellite phones, is what they are. And you can use your phone as like a keyboard to text through it and stuff. And me and Carol were like, there was a time when we were headed to the spot in Saskatchewan. We're like 2 hours from the spot. Carol's asleep. And the only way we're getting there is road signs. Like our Google Maps quit working like 2 hours ago and there's no gas station. And I'm reading on my phone like what the guide texted me. She's like, when you see the sign for road 4682, go 30 miles. And I'm like, are you sure? And we eventually found it, but it was sketchy. It was super sketchy for a while. It was awesome. And that's not even as like sketchy as it gets up in Saskatchewan. It gets way worse. There was a guy that was in there fishing and he said, he's like, yeah, we're going to fish. And then we're going to head 10 hours north to like keep fishing. And I'm like, what's at 10 hours north? The end of the earth? There's nothing.
Eventually you fall off. I mean,
you ask Kyrie, you do.
Yeah. Well, the guy was saying though that, he said that there's certain camps in like northern Saskatchewan that you have to fly into. Like you have to boat plane into them.
My buddy went up there and did that. They boat planed in there and then they got dropped off. So it's a lease deal they get. And it's like each member can take like 2 people with them. So he got to go up there because his uncle had it. So his uncle took his dad and him. They flew in, but you have to like take gas in, like can of gas and all that. Well, they were the last group of the year, so they'd like winterize all the boats, flip them over, take the motors off, take them down to the cabin, and it's like everything was gravity fed, so all the water that was left in the tanks, they had to drain it out so it wouldn't freeze. But it was a cool deal like that. And then
freaking awesome.
That would be. He said I'll get to go one year, but.
Well, Pate was talking about. He was like, we need to fly into Saskatoon and just go up there and fish. Like it was, the fishing was that fun. That's what freaking
they just fish just straight. They have, I want to say it's a few thousand acres and just has all these private lakes on it. And you can just go up there any weekend you want. You just kind of schedule with everyone so it's not overfilled. But there's some places you have to ride the 4-wheelers a couple hours to get to these lakes. And then there's another lake that's like right out the back door. But it's cool. They, each lake has different stuff that's better for. It was. Just hearing about it was, it got me jealous.
Well, it was funny because those lakes are not like lakes down here. Like they're not muddy and disturbed. Like you can crystal clear see in the lake, and it's pretty awesome. Me and Peyton caught I think we caught like 8 pike in 30 minutes one time, and there's these guys that rented a boat, and we're like, you guys caught anything? They're like, no, they're not really biting, and we're like, we caught 8 in like 30 minutes. Yeah. They're like, we're going to go home. We're going to go somewhere else. And we're like, all right, see you guys later. So we went and fished their spot and caught some fish where they were.
They're like, we're going to go 10 more hours.
Yeah, it was awesome. So Chad Richard, I think this is Chad Haleski. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's Chad Richard. He said, what's your guys' view on drones for deer? And then he made a different comment and said, what's your guys' view on drones for deer recovery? What do you guys think about this? Carol, you had an experience with a drone for deer recovery. What do you think?
It was awesome. I'll say that. It makes it. I have mixed feelings about it. Like when you look from the outside looking in, you're just like, God, that's cheating. That's so cheating. Like you can go locate. You can locate the deer for a bow. Like it might be different for a rifle. It might be different for, crossbow or whatever. I don't know. But just for a compound bow, long story short, I shot a deer, didn't hit the best of shot, called in a drone for the recovery. He probably only went like 200, 250 yards. Now, we would have never, even if that deer was, let's say he was dead, we would have struggled finding him.
We would have thick stuff.
We would have probably never found that deer. So turns out, long story short, he was still alive. We waited till the next morning. I went in there to try to get another arrow in him because I wasn't confident the way he was acting. And you still have to get another arrow in them if they're not going to die. So mixed feelings. I thought from the outside looking in, yeah, it's a little sketch. It seems a little too easy. Seems too easy. But then I have another mixed review of, well, you shot a deer. You might not find it. why would you not? It's just a waste. Why would you not do what you can? You put an arrow in an animal. Why would you not do everything you can to try to recover that animal?
Right.
Like I said, with a rifle, I could totally see you can abuse it. Can you abuse it? Absolutely. You can absolutely abuse it. But it's just, we didn't abuse it. We knew where the deer could be, but when we got there, he was long gone. We still had to sneak up on this deer, be quiet as can be in brush. So it didn't work out for us. Now, like I said, mixed reviews. Outside looking in seems too easy, but at the end of the day, it's not guaranteed.
No.
I think we have that situation. If the deer is still alive and you have a bow in your hand, we don't get that deer 9 times out of 10, maybe 10 times out of 10. So,
yeah, that's my take is about the same. Like you said, if you try a little bit and it's not looking good and you back out, I mean, I'd rather you find the deer and not have a waste. But I feel like that's, if a guy came to me, so if I'm sitting in my place, all right, and a guy comes to my gate and is like, hey, I shot a deer across on you. Can I look? I'm in my mind. I'm like, man, he's about to go walk out everything that I hunt. Well, if he's like, hey, I flew a drone over, I know exactly where he is. In my mind, I'm like, all right, let's go get him right now. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have, I'm never going to say no to anyone. We've never said no to anyone. But, and it's always that time of year that you're like, tonight's going to be a good hunt. You hear people saying, hey, I shot a deer. Can I go find it, jump this corner? And you're like, oh my gosh, that's right where I plan on being. And, but no, like you said, if I'd rather be able to find it with a drone and recover it than be like, oh, maybe I'll find him dead later, because that's, as hunters, we're not supposed to do that. But I also think, like you said, it can be abused. So I don't know. It's a gray area. I mean, I feel like you should at least give it a try to look for it on your own, and then drone be secondhand.
Yeah, I'd be a lot more inclined to like you said, let someone come look. If it's like, hey, he's right here and he's dead, give me 3 minutes. I'll go in, grab him, and drag him out. Like, that's better than, hey, can I walk through your bedding area for 2 hours tomorrow and look for this deer and not find it and let it rot and you find it during shed season? It's like, no, I don't want that to happen anymore too.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I thought I hit a good shot, but maybe I didn't. Because that's one of the things too that I love about filming. I absolutely love that, is I can look back and say, okay, this is what I should expect. A lot of people say, oh, I hit a deer good. And it's like, no, you didn't. You obviously didn't. So
I know a guy that said he heart shot a deer and then it came back on camera and it was shot in the top of the neck, like 4 inches behind its head.
Wait, really?
Yeah. So, I mean,
he heart shot it? Maybe an artery leading to the heart. Yeah.
Obviously not.
Yeah, obviously not. But, well, in Peyton's instance, when he shot that buck, we knew exactly where the shot was because he filmed it. And then we looked at it on the recovery when we were using the drone. We're going to drop a video about it. It was super cool. Exactly where the buck was hit, because the buck started turning over once the light hit it. It like showed each side of the wound. And within 24 hours of us looking, we jumped that buck out of his bed the next morning. He was still alive. Within 24 hours of looking, we found him like he was back on the camera again. Wow. Within 24 hours. And it's like,
was that the one at your lease?
Yeah, that was the refrigerator. Granted, he was only there for 24 hours. He's probably dead now. But it was crazy.
No, he came back. I mean, he was there for 4 days after.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, he was there for like 3 or 4.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
3 or 4 days after, and then finally he was there like clockwork, morning, midday, afternoon, and then he just stopped. We're like, finally got to him.
Did you check that outfitter's social media?
Yeah, I didn't find him on there.
Don't get me started on that. No, that's he was too old. He wouldn't have shot him.
Oh God. So
kidding. I'm kidding. Chill out.
Another one from TikTok. We got Lizard Hill Bones has a couple comments. Said, love the content. Season ends here January 14th. That's awesome. It ends here the 15th. And then he said 786 skulls at the shop since bow season started. I wonder if this guy mounts or European mounts deer. And I don't know where you live, but if 786 in your county got killed that are bucks, God bless your soul. I don't know if you'll ever see another buck again. 786 skulls since the beginning of bow season is what he said.
I thought you'd be surprised if you started looking at counties. How much were killed?
Oh, no. 786 bucks. It's like how far do people travel to bring you their deer? Because that's a lot of deer.
Yeah.
That is a lot.
If he's like, no, I killed that many.
Me and Charles Beatty are hooking up, and we end up killing that many this season. That's crazy. One of my old coworkers, my work mom, Pat G1111, said Christian loved the setup. Camera loves you. So good to see you doing what you love. Thank you, Pat. That's very nice of you.
Thanks for the shout out for me and Peyton.
Sorry, our cameras aren't good.
No wonder why Christian was fired.
Exactly. Manifest DEX said, like y'all to talk, bro. I don't know what that means. Okay. Laker said, just got a bow and crossbow. That's sick. Manifest DEX said, you've been chasing? Not many ever even get to 170. I agree with you. Sean S. Jackson said, are y'all involved with any local?
I'd like to hear the take to what he meant by that. Does that mean like we should shoot all the small ones, or?
I think he was saying not many deer ever get to 170 because we were talking about.
In Ohio, they do. They're born 170s, dude.
Yeah, yearling, 170-inch yearling. Sean S. Jackson said, are y'all involved with any local hunting organization chapters? So BHA, what else is there? NWTF. Are you guys involved in any of those? I know Peyton's not. What's that one you're involved in, Peyton? Is it Rocket League or Fortnite?
Fortnite.
What are those organizations you're part of?
Peyton, and he's craft at Fortnite.
Yeah, cranking 90s.
Are you guys involved in any hunting organizations?
I won't answer until Peyton gets up and does a little Fortnite dance.
That ain't gonna happen.
You don't.
I haven't played that game in like 5 years. That ain't gonna happen. It's my
local, do some stuff with Ducks Unlimited.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Can you put my name in the raffle 200 times to win the shotgun?
I have a take on that, but I won't say it on here.
You've seen someone do that and win a shotgun. You're salty, huh?
No. Have you? Have you seen the prices on like the tables you can get?
Like thousands?
No, I'm not worried about it. Like the price is fine, but the gifts, like, never mind. We'll talk about it tomorrow.
He's in the underbelly of the outdoor world.
I don't want people to get upset on my take on this.
Somebody said, I love Joey and Amy Babcock and Luke Babcock. That's from Mower Guy on TikTok. I don't know who that is. And then his profile picture is I love my girlfriend. And his bio is handsome young man from Oklahoma.
That's definitely Christian's burner account. He just doesn't want to tell us.
That's on my work phone. Handsome
awesome.
young man from Oklahoma. That's sick. Okay. Here's another question from Facebook. Eric Andrade says, how do you keep summer bucks? I don't want to put them on protein plan if they're just going to leave 160 acres, half timber, half beans. Don't ask Peyton this question, boys.
How do you keep them?
Yeah, how do you keep summer bucks specifically?
By your neighbor's 1,000 acres around you.
That's a good plan.
I mean, I don't know. I don't really like. I've told you this. I don't really summer a lot of bucks, and but my thought of it, I don't summer them, and they might not come back. But if they do come back, that's what you have to always play the ifs in hunting, especially if you're wanting to kill a big one. So I don't ever really try to keep them, but deer and rut, I definitely start getting a lot of protein out to them because right then and there, deer and rut, their body's already trying to keep up and kind of, I guess you can say, like program them of what they're going to be next year. And, and they start having to store stuff. A lot of people get this confused. They think they need to do it during the summer. That's great. Any protein over none is better than none. But look at the studies. It's better to start during rut because the bucks get so far ran down. And actually, the rut's actually a killer of a lot of them mature bucks. So anyways, we can go on that topic any day we want. But I don't know. Keep summer bucks, keep food around. You said they have half timber, half beans. I mean, if they have beans and there's no other beans around, that should be able to keep them in. But there's not something you can sprinkle on the ground and they're going to stay there year round if they're not going to stay there.
I've been using the new Exodus Rival cell camera for the last couple months, and I have found a beautiful mainframe 8-point with tons of stickers to go after this fall.
Ooh.
One thing I do appreciate about Exodus trail cameras is all of the cameras share the same data plan, so you only pay for what you need. A lot of cell cam companies charge you for HD pictures. I've seen prices of $5 for 50 HD pics. Exodus is going to give you unlimited HD pictures right to your phone, which is awesome when you're sitting there in the middle of the summer and it's 100 degrees and you just want to binge a bunch of trail cam photos.
If you're looking for a solid cell camera with great performance and a 5-year no BS warranty, go check them out. So as we all know, hunting gear is something people can make way too complicated. Arrows can be the exact same way. Instead of going down all those rabbit holes trying to sift through the endless information that's online and you're not really sure if it's right or wrong, Exodus makes it simple to get the right arrow for your exact setup.
So go online to the Exodus Arrow Builder. It takes less than a minute. You're going to enter your draw weight, your draw length, and how heavy of a point you're shooting. And it's going to be that simple. Let the guys at Exodus take care of the rest.
So if you're interested in Exodus Rival cell cameras or a new set of their MMT arrows, just go to exodusoutdoorgear.com and use code HA15 for 15% off anything on the website.
Once again, that is exodusoutdoorgear.com. Use code HA15 at checkout for 15% off. Now let's get back to the podcast. What do you think, Peyton?
I've accepted it a lot more this year, but I think people just have to accept that they're wild animals, that they're not. I get jealous, when we lose deer. I'll call you, what the heck? What the heck? Not in summer, but yeah, we do it sometimes too. When they're growing the rack, we're like, hey man, this deer hadn't been here in 3 days. Well, they're wild animals. There's really not a lot you can do to just keep them. They're also curious animals too, right? So you guys might not like my take, but I don't think that there's just one fine way of keeping them around unless you just have a lot of land. There's just so many factors. Like, for example, if a deer, something comes up and a mature deer, he might not be the biggest and baddest around, in the winter, but maybe he grows in the summer or something and he ends up passing away. A new deer moves in. There's just so many factors that I think the best thing you can do is just not worry about what you have in the summer until it's game time. That's my hot take on it, though, is I don't worry too much about what's there and what's not there until October 1st.
Yeah, I think the number one thing you can do to keep a buck, regardless of season, whether it's summer or fall, lack of intrusion. The more you go in there, the more that buck is going to be aware of that. And the less you do it and the more your neighbors do, the better shot you have at killing a buck like that.
Yeah, and those deer, I mean, we pattern deer, and people might think I'm crazy saying this, but we pattern deer. We try to pattern mature deer, but if we keep going in there, the deer do the same thing to us. They start patterning us. And, if you're like, oh, that's not true, but absolutely. We have had big bucks that, we've all had them that we chase, and it's like they're there when we're not there, but when we're there, I had one a couple years ago. He was, it was clockwork. Every night, every morning, he lived there. Every time I was in there, nothing. I would leave, an hour later, he would be in there. And everyone's like, well, that was just coincidence. I'm telling you right now, I hunt 4 days in a row, don't see him, I'm leave. He's there for 8 days in a row. That's not coincidence. He knew. He was bedded up. He saw when I was pulling in there, and he knew what was going on. And like we said earlier, we don't know everything about deer like we do. So yeah, definitely don't leave a paper trail, because I guarantee you they do the same thing we do.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because I had that, Christian. You can even attest how many times I had that this year of, oh, he's here. I got to wait for the right wind. Boom, north wind. He's gone. There's just so many things of maybe they did pattern us of, hey, these two idiots think they're going to kill us. We know it's a north wind, and we're going to go somewhere else for the day. Like, it all comes down to, I just don't think we know as much as we want to know and we think we know.
Well, and I've asked Christian this before. If we're chasing 5.5-year-old deer and 6.5-year-old deer, 7.5, 5.5 plus, we'll keep it at that. Then No, they didn't get that age because they're dumb.
No.
And, I mean, there's just no point. The deer, I mean, I don't know. I'd like to see the average deer age around killed us or harvested around us, and kind of give us a better outlook on some stuff. But those deer, they know humans just like we know. Like they know us probably as good as we know them.
Yeah, I think so. Eric added a second, like a follow up to this. He said, Eric said, I asked that for antler growth specifically because I want to arrow 150 and I have at least 120 to 130 range every year and they disappear. Yeah.
I think you have a problem on disappearing because of beans. Are the beans standing? That would be a good question. Because I mean, if the beans are getting harvested, what's their food there? Yeah, you have timber, which are acorns. But if you have beans, there has to be more ag around you. So you got to compete with that. And I mean, beans are going to be good for early season to keep them during the summer. But once they go brown, I mean, it has to get cold again for them to go back to the beans.
That's a good point. So he has 120 to 130 range every year and they disappear. Huh. I'm assuming he's
Let me ask this: what's your buck to doe ratio too? I mean, yeah, you might have 3. Do you have 3? You said around 120, 130, but do you have like 25 spikes and forked points to 2 does? Yeah, they're going to leave because they're going to go find more does in a different area.
Well, and there's a question here that Eric is probably going to have to answer. Is like, I don't know what he's doing to the property. Those deer are a heck of a lot more lenient in the summer too. Like
I think the best way to answer is, Eric, if you drop us a pin, we'll come out, probably about October 1st to 3rd next year, and we can tell you the situation.
Yeah. Well, I've had back when I used just regular SD cameras, I would go out there and set corn out like on the ground. If I didn't have a feeder, I'd set it out like every 5 days, 4 days. And it's like, dude, a big buck, maybe a 3-year-old deer is going to accept that, but a big mature buck, he's not going to accept that. He's like, he smells you once. It's like, okay, that's a little weird. Second time, it's like, I don't live here anymore. Like I'm gone. They're going to go to where they seek safety. Yeah. Or completely nocturnal. Eric said 2 bucks to 1 doe, lots of small bucks.
See, I don't know. I have a different take on the buck ratio deal. Everyone wants what is it supposed to be, 1 to 1?
Yeah, 1 to 1's ideal, I think. Do you think you need to shoot more does?
No, you need more does.
Oh, you think
if it depends on your area, if you can hold them. And everyone's gonna go, and break it all down. And it could be true, but I've also done this for a long time, and I've killed, not like, oh, look at me, but I've killed some big deer for my age. But let me put it this way: if you're in college and you're single, would you rather go to a bar that's a 1 to 1 ratio, or would you rather go to a bar that's 1 buck to 4 does ratio? If you're looking for a girlfriend,
I like to compete, so 1 to 1. 1 to 1. No, I mean, I agree. You'd want to go to the place with the most does, but if he says he has,
then let me back it up with this. If you're at that age, you're going to go to a bar, you're going to go to an arcade that has lots of the small bucks there. You know what I mean? You're not going to go to the arcade with all the immatures.
So where do those big bucks go then?
Where there's more.
Where there's more does, more honeys. Mm-hmm. We didn't get near. Go ahead, Carol.
I think they're there. After what I saw this year,
yeah,
they could get a little more. I think they're there.
Eric,
I think they're there. They're just not. They're not showing themselves, and they're around.
Yeah, Eric, how many cameras do you have, and how do you hunt? Do you hunt the edge of the field only? Do you get back in the timber? What do you do? That would be good take.
Well, and do you hunt it on the right wind directions? Are you accessing it the right way? Like, because a mature buck's going to play no games on that sort of front. Eric said, I replaced the beans with 2 different feed spots, corn and or rice bran, and 1 food plot to hunt different winds. So it sounds like he's hunting the correct winds, or accessing it the right way. My thought is, like, if you're in an area with 160 acres and it's a good blend, half food, half timber, or good cover, you should have a mature buck on there. That doesn't mean it's going to be 150 inches though. It can be a 130-inch mature buck, but it's tough to get a deer to 150. There's not a lot of, I don't think there's just a plethora of 150s running around there. Like, I've been hunting with a bow for many, many years, and I've shot 1 deer, 150.
That's why I'd never travel here to
hunt. He says, my number 1 priority is to stay out of the timber, and I only hunt field edges.
So here's a really, really good example. It's more open field where I went, but I'll not going to say any names, but I went hunting with a friend. And just a friend. They did not have, they had 1 mature deer, maybe 2 mature deer on camera, but nothing giant. They had friends that would go by and say, hey, we saw 2 giants out on this field. Let's say it's 240 acres. I don't know how much it is, but it's not small, but it's not super big. No deer on camera. They ran several cameras, no mature deer on camera. We went out and we saw 2, we never got a shot, saw 2 150 plus deer. And those deer had been reported being seen there several times, not one time all season on the camera, not one time. Those deer, I think those deer are there. They're around your place. They're not just disappearing. I mean, if somebody's shooting them, somebody's shooting them. They're there. Where are they? You don't know, but they could still be there.
I don't know. Eric Fauzi, I'd definitely think about maybe putting some, if you don't do it, I don't know how you hunt. And I'm not knocking you in any way, but I'd definitely put a camera on a mock scrape, and I'd definitely try to find maybe a major trail or a pinch point in the timber and put a cell cam if it's legal where you are, and just see what's back there. I'm not saying go in there and hunt it, but just see. You might be surprised some of those big boys don't come out of the timber.
Well, and the legacy stand locations too. You see a lot of properties where, like, oh, I hunted this stand for the last decade. It's like, deer don't use it. That deer don't walk by here anymore. It's like, okay, yeah, because they've watched every one of their homies be annihilated right here in this stand location. Yeah. You think, like, this is a good spot because it's always been a good spot. Not necessarily. It doesn't, you might be hunting on the edge of the field, and there might be, like you said, Taylor, there might be a spot 60 yards in the timber that it's like, oh, it's dynamite in here. You don't see those deer because they're not coming out on the field. Apart from the rut and maybe early or late season, very close to daylight or dusk, I don't see a ton of mature bucks like just strutting out on a wheat field. I see them during the rut, but I don't see that a ton during like early season, and especially like out in the middle of a field, or
I see
maybe down the edges.
I'd see them more early season until your first 4 or 5 days in October. I feel like you have a really good chance to kill a big one there, but then all of a sudden something changes. And rut.
Eric said, I did shoot the biggest and most mature one I had on camera during the rut. I have 3 to 4 cameras. Maybe I'll throw some non-cell cams in the woods so I can stay out of the timber as much as possible and a deer, and see if a deer I don't see at the food plots. I think it's pretty good. Probably a pretty good plan.
I mean, I know you're going to want to go in there and check them, but I mean, give it a week. At least give it a week or 2.
Well, and if he's saying that I shot the biggest and most mature one I had on camera during the rut, I always like to be optimistic. Like, hey, there's one you don't have on camera that's bigger than anything you've ever had on camera. Sometimes it actually is the biggest one that you have on camera. Like Peyton and I thought, at our lease, I hadn't ran trail cameras past like November 5th ever on this lease. And I thought, oh man, if I had trail cameras on this lease, like during the rut, it's going to be a deer here, a deer there, 160 here, 150 there. And during that entire season, or the entire November or December, there wasn't one buck that came by that like just absolutely blew me away that I'd never seen before. Like, there was a couple.
The rut sucked for us. It really did.
This year sucked for me when it came to hunting.
You shot a nice buck though.
Yeah. But other than that, I mean, it didn't suck in that aspect. It just sucked for the normally what I have, I guess, or the expectation.
Right. Eric said the buck that he shot was 5.5 or 5 years old plus and 230 pounds. That sounds like a trophy.
Yeah, so he ain't skipping.
I mean, like you said, our deer, I mean, most of the deer aren't made to get to 150. I mean, they're made to be an 8-point. They're made, that's what they're going to be. And that's like my deer I shot this year. He's 6.5, maybe 5.5. I doubt it. 6.5, 8 point. And he was never going to get bigger. But guess what? He's just as big in my eyes as being a 6.5-year-old than he is being a 174.5-year-old.
Well, if you keep shooting 5.5-year-old bucks that are 230, I think eventually you'll run around. One will come in front of you that impresses you. But like you said, on our lease, like if we have 15 bucks come in, 10 of them are 8 points.
Eric, how long have you been hunting that spot?
Yeah, drop that in the comments. And I would say most of the bucks that we have that are mature 8 points won't be 130 inches. They won't even be 130. Like a lot of them won't be.
No. You think you shoot 130, 140-inch 8-point until you put a tape on it. Then you get a dose of reality. That's what I was watching. I was watching YouTube yesterday, matter of fact, and he was like, that's a 158 point I just had walked by. And I was like, sir, that thing had 8-inch G2s. I guarantee you it wasn't 150. You know what I mean? I'm like, man, that's 150. Like, why would you not shoot it? It's an 8-point.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, that's 135-inch 8-point will blow your socks off on frame.
Oh, absolutely.
Will knock your socks off. The refrigerator that Carroll shot this year, he was probably mid 120s. Dude, he's freaking big and probably 240 on the body. It's not going to score 130. We've had a lot of bucks like that. A lot of big, nasty 8 points and
big nasties.
Yeah, it's tough for him to be 130. Eric said, my dad's farm, I've only been hunting for 4 years.
I mean, man, you just killed your biggest buck on there in 4 years. I think that, I mean, in my eyes, I mean, a lot of places you're not going to get in there and kill a big one. I mean, there's years that my family, we had 3 of us hunting 400 or 500 acres and we didn't kill one. And, you know, we had years that we went 2 years. And that's us hunting. Like, we're not just your go out for the weekend. We're there when we can get there. And so, I mean, you killed your biggest one in 4 years. And I mean, you're doing something right, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Well, and you can't judge all the worth of the buck or the excitement on the score. I know you're not, because if score is the only metric you're going to use to, you know, evaluate a buck, you're going to be very disappointed, because most bucks, if I shoot a 120-inch buck that's 5.5 years old, I would be absolutely jacked about that.
Yeah.
And if you're in a place where you're going to struggle to get deer to maturity, you're probably going to struggle to get them to a high score too. Eric said, sorry to hog the feed. I'm sure you guys have other questions. Thank you guys for your knowledge. I learn more and more every year. Yeah, absolutely, man. Thanks for
playing along. Anytime.
Thanks for playing along.
This is a good question for the people who are watching and myself. Are we going to do this same day? What's y'all's thought? So people can or is this going to be?
We should definitely do the same day where it's predictable every week. Yeah, I think that's what we should do.
Yeah. Okay.
How much? That's got me thinking. How many bucks over 150 do you think we got on camera this year, Pete?
Man,
no, I was saying me.
Oh, you had 2?
What
do you think?
I don't know. I'm trying to go through all the bucks. 2?
2. I think 2.
2.
Yeah. And I think on my other lease, I think there was 1. And I don't even think I don't think he will hit 150. I think he's probably high 140s. So we've got 250 acres. Very relatively speaking, very unpressured. Not hard hunting pressure on the edges and around it. Pretty isolated, pretty remote, pretty unpopulated. And in a spot like that, we have $2 over 150.
Yeah, I had two. One of them be pushing it. I think he would have at least grossed.
Well, and we hunted public and ran a ton of cameras on public this year, and we got one over 150. You think?
Yeah,
one. I think since like people watch outdoor TV and they see the Midwest all the time, like, oh my gosh, 150-inch bucks, they're all over the place. It's like, not if you're out in the South.
Dude, it's thrown around loosely though. It's so thrown around loose. I mean, everyone wants to say they got a 150. I mean, I'm not knocking. And I mean, if your feelings are getting hurt, then it might be you. But that's 150. That's 150. That's 150. I mean, realistically, we're not. Everyone needs to come down. Like I said, get dose reality. You're probably killing a 140. And I mean,
that's a big buck.
It's a big buck, but give it what it is. Stop adding. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's like, "Oh, I thought he's a 150, but he's a 120."
Score your deer plus 120 method. Plus 20. Score your deer plus 20 method.
Well,
this cracks me up there. Yeah, I got a couple 150s. I'm like, dang, they're big and they don't get excited. I'm like, are y'all just throwing up?
Yeah, we know a few people that have a few 150s, and you're like,
like, stop throwing it around, like, or they're like, I just passed that one and he's 150, and you get excited, and they send you a picture, and you're like, maybe he'll be 150 in 2 years, dude.
Well, I'm like, hey, brother, you don't get 12 mass measurements. He's not 150. Yeah. Like, do you ever see a deer and somebody scores it, and you're like, bring that thing to my house. I want to take a look at it. I want to hold it because you're full of crap. I don't understand how they even get these scores. I really don't. Mason Babcock said, my deer this year was 87-inch 4-pointer. Yeah. That was a really good 4-pointer. Mason shot 144-inch public land buck. It's obviously
in his picture right there. I mean,
yeah.
Everyone look at that, Mick. That's 150. That's 160.
Well, and you see the frame on that buck. That deer is probably I think he's 18 inches wide, good tine length, really good eye guards. One beam's over 24, the other one's 23. That buck scored 144.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's a great deer. I'm not knocking it, but everyone's like, that's 150. It takes a lot to get to 150. I had the biggest dose of reality when Gunner shot his giant.
What did you think it was going to be?
Oh, dude, I thought 190, 200 any day of the week. I mean, look at it.
And what was it? 189?
188 and some change.
Net, right, though? It grossed over 200, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's a fish. Eric said your deer was a stud, Mason, unlike its owner. Yeah, that was. Yeah, I think we throw that term out a little too loosely. Or I posted, it was hilarious. So that buck I shot with my recurve at MCAP, I posted a TikTok of me holding the skull cap and kind of moving it around and like talking about the measurements. Like beams are 19, the G2s were like 10.5, 8-inch 3s, 4.5-inch eye guards. And there were some people in there that said, like, yeah, I wouldn't give that deer 105, 110 at best. And I'm like, I didn't even score it. It was the biologist on the place that scored it at 126 and like 110 at best. And then there were some other good comments. If that's 125, my 8 point was 160. I'm like, okay, buddy.
God. That's why I don't post stuff.
Roll Tide. That's what those people are like. Roll Tide.
Yeah, this one's. One guy said, you can't shoot 180s if you shoot 120s. That was a good comment. And then another guy said, if that's a 4-year-old, I'd start hunting somewhere else. One guy said, he would have been a nice one next year. Another good one. I have a 120 right on the button. Oh, that was a guy talking about my buck. One guy said, yep, 120. And then he commented back to himself and said, maybe. Maybe.
People crack me up.
It's awesome, dude.
I just
love
don't
the
think the
comments.
people that lie about their deer.
You get some good stories about that?
Just the people on Facebook like got a 180.
Oh God. Here we go. Here's a fellow podcaster.
Thank you. Even though you misspelled his name.
Yeah. That deer would have been huge if he waited another year.
Wasn't
Yeah.
that a 4-year-old? Or was it 5-year-old?
6.
Okay, dude, you don't gotta lie to us. You were just talking
whatever
about
makes you feel, whatever makes
you were just
feel
talking
better.
about people you didn't like talking to the lion on there. Was he 4 or 5? Be honest.
Gunners
Mm-hmm.
was 6. They thought it was 4 or 5, and then we sent off the tooth, and it came back 6.5.
You guys did the cementum aging?
Yeah.
Oh, that's sick.
But yeah, Nash rocked us. But no, I always tell Gunner, I was like, dude, that's cool. You got the state record and all, but I was passing to try to get the world record. But you're a little selfish.
Here's a good one. Eric said he weighs 300 on the hoof. Yeah, I've heard that a few times.
Talking about me or what?
Jake Gaylord said, JK, I would have shot him when he was 3. We know. Jake posted, we have this Facebook post. It's like a short of it's a clip of a podcast. And Jake's like, he's basically talking about, I'm younger in my hunting journey. I'm a guy in my mid 20s. If I see a 150-inch deer, I don't care if it's 3-year-old, I'm going to shoot it. Jake said that. Some of the Facebook comments back to him were hilarious. They were destroying him. They're like, you're the problem. You're what's wrong with this country, society. It was awesome. Would you shoot a 150-inch 3-year-old?
Would I?
Yeah. Would either of you guys? You wouldn't? What about on public?
I'd have to say yes on public.
Peyton, would you? I know you
On
would.
public? Yeah. On private?
No, what about on private?
No,
Not on private?
I wouldn't shoot a 150-inch 4.5-year-old. Why would I shoot a 150-inch 3-year-old?
I guess you got a point. I definitely would on public. If it was my last year on a lease,
Jacob said we're lying if we say no.
He's got a point.
Nah.
Jake's gotten it down bad right now.
150-inch 3-year-old
next year.
No. I bet I've passed at least 140-inch 3-year-old.
You think so?
I can roll some clips.
Okay, hold on. I got the clip right here. I can play the audio. You guys ready?
Or 6.5. I seen a 150-inch 2-year-old. Like, let's just go to the extremes. If I see a 150-inch 2-year-old, I would shoot that over a 5.5 or 6.5. More extreme, a 9.5-year-old 120. I would rather do that. And if they're standing side by side, both broadside, let's say at a corn pile or whatever, and I had the option to shoot either or. I mean, if I had the option, Oklahoma has a $2 tag. I'm shooting both, obviously, trying to. But if I had to pick one, it's going to be that higher scoring deer. That's just where I'm at. I'm 25 years old. I'm not going to pass up a 150 right now. There ain't no way in heck. I don't care if that thing has a potential to be a 180 in a couple years. Like, I don't care. It's like I seen a 100.
Do you guys think that's a controversial take? I really don't.
They're
you think so?
Side by side.
Really?
I would shoot the 150-inch. Then the 9-year-old.
Okay, yeah. Hold on though. You got to remember though, you have a lot better hunting land than a lot of people do. You have to remember that. You've been hunting for a long time and you have very good hunting land. Not everybody has access to that.
Wait,
you have to take that
talking to me or talking about Jake?
You.
Oh, well.
Because I'm the same. Like it depends where we're at. Because like there's times where I look at Jake and I'm like, no. And then now there's times where I'm like, it just depends. The longevity, where you're at, how long if it's your land. I think there's a lot of.
Mason said, I distinctly remember Peyton saying he didn't care what came out. He was going to shoot it.
That's not true. I passed many deer. Even on public land, I passed 2 deer. I would
text my Groose and be like, I don't care what it looks like. I'm killing it today. I'm tired of hunting.
Dude, Well, there was a video a couple years ago, Peyton. There was like a 120. So our standard, it's like if it's 120 and up on public, dude, it better not get within 40 yards of me because it's gonna get hammered. There was like a 120 that came by Pate at like 40 or 45 yards, and he was showing us the video, and we're like, "Well, where's the shot?" And he's like, "Oh, I passed him." We're like, "What are you doing?"
Okay, he was at 57 yards, straight behind the tree. I remember he was probably like a low to mid 130s eight.
I'm talking about the 120s that you passed, the smaller one. The that deer was at like 30, 35.
He's got that dog in him.
Dude, he's a someone call him a manager, passing 160s on
Peyton
private.
said, all right, Apple Watch, we're 1.5 miles back here. Nope.
Peyton got an X-ray and they found 2 dogs in him.
I looking back, I was like, I'm an idiot, but no.
Dude, 120 on public.
I'm gonna revert back. I would pass the 3-year-old. That's all I gotta say.
At 3-year-old 150s?
No cap.
Jared Hayes, he's entered the chat. He said, "Do you remember spots?" I do, Jared. I do remember that. That we were hunting one time, and I shot a doe that I called Doezilla just because it was a big old mature doe. And the same night, Jake shot a doe. I mean, I think it was probably a fawn. I've shot many fawns with my bow, so no hate. But Jake hit it like mid body and in the spine, and it like cut it in half. Like the spot, like the deer cut into like 2 pieces. It was insane. And the only thing that made that doe look smaller was I shot Doezilla, which was probably 130-pound doe. Jared Hayes said 2 of them. 2 of them. He did shoot. Oh, Jake shot 2 does that night, and we told him. So he had shot a doe. There was a group of 3 does, and he's going to get on here and talk about it. So I'll talk about it. I'll just preamble him. There was 2 does or a group of 3 does. Jake shot one like 2 weeks previously, and the other 2 came back. Jake shot one of them and dropped it, and then shot the other one. And me and Jared were like, "Jake, you killed a whole family." Like there was 3 does. There was only 3 does on this place, and Jake shot all 3 of them with his bow. It was awesome.
I have a hard time. I get attached to my does, like the ones that that routinely coming in.
Yeah.
You have any of those? I shouldn't ask you. You go kill anything. But like at my spot, some of my private spots, dude, like there's a couple groups that I will not pass. I'll pass their days.
Well, we have a group of like 15 does. Get Jake jumping in the chat to defend himself.
All right, you got me now?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep. All right, does the mic sound good?
Yeah, are you jumping in to defend yourself?
Yeah, well, not against you, but
against the haters.
Listen, I've read those comments on that video, and I've had time to let this marinate.
Jake has a people to kill list.
Hold on.
Ryan LaCroix, Kyle Ship. He's like, writing his names down.
Jake has a people to kill list. That's awesome.
Here in a second, I will get a little bit dirty, but so just to start out, a couple of those comments on that video were, you lost me at corn pile, yada, 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 stuff like that.
And you're the problem was one of them.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing about corn pile. It's legal in Oklahoma. It's not legal on public. It's legal on private. Okay. As you guys know. Well, you click on some of these guys' profile saying that ain't real hunting. And you're what's wrong with hunting. You click on their profile and you immediately see 4 chins, right? And it's like, this dude isn't finding sign to save his life. And if he is, he's setting up on the first little footprint he sees right off his side-by-side.
He's got a rifle over one shoulder and the spotlight in the other.
Yeah, more than likely wearing orange. And the only time he's hunting archery season, he has a crossbow, okay? Or a crossgun, I'm sorry. But just to get back on topic a little bit, to defend myself, okay? I hunt a piece of private. It's typically pretty good, but obviously how it's getting nowadays, everything's getting segmented into 40-acre chunks, right? And in that 40 acres, 4 or 5 people are more than likely allowed to hunt that because it's mostly family land. Okay, so there's probably going to be multiple bucks taken off of that 40-acre chunk. So This is my second biggest deer I have on camera. I'm going to zoom in really, really close. Okay. This is my second biggest deer I have on camera. Probably good 50 inches, right? Now,
giant.
If you scroll this way, what do you see? Okay.
A rage expandable.
This is what I'm getting at when I say if I see a 150-inch 3-year-old, that it is not getting the pass, because it's going to be different in every part of the country. It's going to be different in even every part of the
you
state.
said you would shoot the 150-year-old 3-point standing exactly next to a 9-year-old deer
every day of the week. Every day of the week.
Double down.
Hey, guess what?
On this piece of property, yes, because I will show.
I probably would. Not on our lease. Not on our lease.
Well,
no. You said, hey, you said
not
you
on
would
our
shoot
lease.
it.
But
Christian, he's trying not to get kicked off.
Now, just to say this, I have passed deer before. Okay, I have tried the method of growing deer on a small acreage property with horrible neighbors. I got one good neighbor. He's to the south of me. Okay, great neighbor, and his bordering neighbors to the south of him, you know, really don't hunt, and you know they usually do things right. And just from one property to the next, you can see a significant like movement, I guess I should say, and better quality deer. They're not stupid. My property that I hunt on private just doesn't have the timber, and all my timber is usually from the north, and that's where I kind of expect it, because all my property is just basically a transition zone from the north timber to the south. Okay, and usually that works out fine for me. They usually try to come out, you know, during the rut and stuff. But this is my passing. Okay, pretty good deer, probably mid 120s, I would say, maybe. But he was for sure 3. I knew it, and I passed him. I ended up seeing him the next year. I'm not an animal. Anything with horns, I'm not just like, hey, bang bang. That's not what I do. Okay, but I am going to say this: I have one deer that's probably. What do you think that 13 point would score, Christy?
Probably low 140s.
Okay, I would bust him. Is he young? Absolutely. But am I part of the problem? Yes. But in my mind, I'm joining the problem. Okay.
If you can't,
there's no helping. There's no helping it. There's no helping it here. And unless you can take care of the neighbors, but that's the second biggest deer, the one with the big old hole in the shoulder that I showed you. That's the second biggest deer I've got on camera all year. But that's probably the third buck about that size that I've seen with the hole in him.
And to put it into context, your neighbor to the north of you has less than 30 acres and shot 5 bucks last year.
So there's a big neighbor that has a big chunk of land, and then, which I hear, don't even go out there during off season. You might get shot. And then he's to the north of him, just a little ways. But yeah, his family shot 5 bucks in 1 year. And then I think they shot 2 this year. And I've been hunting the property that I hunt for, I don't know, 7-8 years. And I've taken,
it's almost a decade.
Yeah. I've taken
like the end of high school.
I probably killed 3 bucks, but I've taken 2 out of,
I know exactly the
8
problem.
years.
You're not trespassing enough.
Well, that's kind of what I'm thinking.
You should forget your phone at home.
And okay, I understand what you're saying there. But and just to put it into perspective even further, I've helped neighbors find their arrow on my side of the property before. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm walking back, and I'm walking the fence line back to my truck after an evening sit, and all of a sudden I see a headlamp out in the, you know, kind of right on the fence line. I knew we had a tree stand there, and all of a sudden I just go to walk past him because that's my only way in, basically. You know, walking to my truck, and he's like, "Hey, did you see a deer coming out?" And I was like, "No." He said,
I seen that 150-inch 2-year-old. Like, let's just go to the extremes.
Sorry.
Oh, and he said, "Well, I think I shot one." And I was like, "Oh, did you?" And he was like, "Yep, about right where you're standing." And of course, I'm on my side of the property, probably by 10, 15 yards. And he was like, "Look down there and see if you can see an arrow." I thought he was just kidding. And sure enough, I looked down and there's a clean arrow. And I'm thinking, this dude, but again, it's not, it's family land, but I don't own the land personally. And there ain't, I mean, he's an older guy. There ain't no telling how long he's been doing that. And so I just said, "Oh, better luck next time." It was October 11th or 12th. And he said that's the 5th one he shot at this year.
Probably off your place too.
Well, I mean, if he's hunting that stand, there's no way it's not. So that's just the type of situations that people look at it completely wrong. Could I be the problem? Maybe, but I'm not sorry about it.
You can't get the full context.
That's your new. That's the name. We need name tag. His is gonna be the problem child.
Problem child.
Jake Paul.
Jake Paul. Yep.
Yeah.
No, I know you don't agree with it, but yeah.
No, I said I don't agree. If there's a 150-inch 3-point standing right next to a 9-year-old deer, I would not shoot the young deer and watch the 9-year-old trot off.
Not even on public. If you knew one was
on public, still shoot the 9-year-old. 100%.
Are you serious?
No,
that's where we'll disagree. Really?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think the only way this is going to boil down to is if we clip what we just said, and then we let everybody on Facebook tell us who's right and who's wrong. I think that's the only way we win.
Yeah, then we'll all be on some death wishes, and
I can guarantee you the first person that comments has a Confederate flag as their profile picture. So
well, it's funny because one of the comments I just read that when I accidentally played that video. Well, one of the comments I played was when I accidentally played that video, it was a guy. He said, "That's the issue with this young generation." And I clicked on his profile picture, and he was maxing out the suspension on his 4-wheeler. I'll say that thing was squatting, and I'm like,
that usually like goes hand in hand. If they talk crap on a certain thing, that usually means that like they're trying to make them feel better about themselves. Like, hunting over a corn pile, that's what's hunting with today's hunting isn't real hunting. That's just basically, poaching or whatever, like a different form of poaching. And you click on the profile, and just like I said, as soon as I hopped on, like pushing 380, and wanting to say he's some great outdoorsman going over to the next ridge that no one else is going to go to.
Check this out. Jared has some nice words. Jared said, "I love Jake. That moment came up in the memories." Did you see? Were you getting on when he read that? When Jared's comment came up?
I got home at like 8:17, so probably not.
Oh, Jared was talking about that night where I shot Dozil and you wiped out that entire family group.
Oh God. To be fair, that was like that might have been my first. That was either my first or second year bow hunting. So yeah, again.
Well, I feel bad. I don't feel bad actually. Kiss my bottom. But the guy, you post something on Facebook where you're talking about like an experience from like 7 years ago, and people are like, "God, you're an idiot. You hit a deer in the head that one time. I'd never hit one in the head." Yeah. It's like, okay, Jim Bob. And then you click on their profile and it's them hunting at a high fence.
Is that what their voice sounds like?
And you're like, first of all, I was 15.
Yes. Yeah. So hey bro, I'm 8.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it's probably not what their voice sounds like.
It's the Facebook post. My 2-year-old shot his first deer. Yeah. Y'all seen those? And you're like, man.
Yeah. If you want to be discouraged, go to the Facebook comments. It's a dirty place. It's a disgusting place.
People are posted your throats.
I posted a clip, Jake, from that video you made, one of the Ted Nugent clips, and half the people in there are like, "I love Ted Nugent." The other half are like, "He's a draft dodging piece of crap. I hate him. He needs to be assassinated." Have you ever
know
sat
what
at
draft
home?
Dodging has to do with hunting, but okay, yeah.
Some guy commented on his music. He's like, "Songs suck." It's like, okay, we were talking about hunting, but all right.
We know how you'd get over all that, right? I don't have that much hate crime on mine. If you'd stop shooting 3-year-old 150-inch deer,
we haven't had the
opportunity.
Some would say, but good for them. I haven't seen a 150 at all. So
they're everywhere. They run everywhere.
Yeah, and I already know what's going to be said about this. You're just reaping in your rewards of shooting those younger class deer or whatever they're going to say. But I don't know. I feel like I'm not doing their voice justice because I feel like they'd be a lot more out of breath. You know what I mean? Got to catch their breath.
I feel like
those are the walking to the fridge. Like, diabetes is taking their second foot.
Day.
their second foot.
And they misspell every other word.
The
And
best
like,
is when
the best is when you're like, dude, what is this? What are
No
they trying
periods.
to say?
No periods.
Yeah.
It's a freaking paragraph.
Yeah.
that makes you want to say English, motherfucker. Do you speak it? They do not speak English. You want to talk about? Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to ask him if what's that one post that you post and you're like, I regret this. Have you did one of those yet?
Yeah, we had one a while back. Man, I wish Gunner was on here. I forget, but we had a lot of people saying stuff, and we just ended up turning off comments. I wish I knew which one it was.
Was it about his buck?
No, I don't remember. I remember getting this mailbox after mailbox of this stuff, and I was just like, "Are you kidding me, people?"
Misspelled hate comments.
Oh, just. But see, I'm not on, and I also don't get. Well, granted, I don't have much of a following as you guys do on TikTok, but I also don't post so much information on there. My stuff is I do make fun of Sika, and people get really upset with that on TikTok, so that's pretty funny. And so I don't really put like a lot of information out like you guys do. And I haven't podcast, so I haven't been caught on camera saying stuff that that you can clip, and people are gonna be like, "Oh, you're wrong." It's like you could clip me saying I'd pass it, and everyone's like, "You're not gonna pass it," but
Can't eat the horns.
yeah.
Oh, you're never gonna make anybody happy.
Oh no, you could say anything you want, and people are gonna. You could say the Lord's Prayer, and someone's gonna get mad at you because you said one word wrong. I mean, it's the world we live in.
His name's Harold, damn it.
Mason, he posted a picture of that buck. I took some photos of him when he shot this public buck, and he said, "How about that guy saying stupid picture because I had my tongue out in one of the deer pics?" He was like holding the rack out like that. Guy, one guy said stupid picture.
Yeah. One guy posted
excited.
One guy posted on one of my coyote hunting videos. He said probably one of the worst videos ever watched. better than anything I watch on TV, so I kept watching it. I was like, dude, I was literally in coyote tournament for 2-day weekend. I'm not worried about getting the kill on video. I was worried about trying to, so I didn't zoom in. And I was just like, okay, good comment, dude. Like, apparently you felt like you need to comment about it, and you watched it, so it had to be somewhat intriguing.
Have you ever watched a video and made a nasty comment? Any of you guys?
Oh yeah, not a video. I don't know if I've done a video, but I've definitely on pictures.
I don't think that I have. I get on TikTok every now and then on these ads. So like I'll get on my For You page like every now and then there'll be like a shampoo ad, and I say, got this, bought it, tried it out, used it, all my hair fell out. Please don't buy it. I've done that like twice this last week because I'm so tired of seeing ads. And so, but no, never like.
No, I
hated like.
I'm not telling someone they're wrong. Like if they have an opinion, mine are more like if someone posts a deer, like that dude from Alabama that posted that 8-point and then ended up he didn't have the tag for it.
Oh, I remember that one.
I was on his comments like crazy.
But you actually have a real profile picture, and people.
Well, I mean what I say. I mean what I said to him. And it wasn't someone saying, "Oh, I did this," and I'm like, "You're dumb." It was me saying, "Well, how did that work out?" Or and he said like something about something about thanking God for this opportunity. And I was like, thanking God for an opportunity to poach a deer. That sounds cool. You know what I mean? Like that stuff aggravates me. Anyways.
Have you guys already talked about the that one buck yet?
Yeah, the
Alexander buck?
Yeah.
For like 2 minutes. Yeah. Oh. Did you see that the Hunter podcast, they dropped an episode about the buck?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, they said our take on the Alexander buck.
Did you listen to it?
I haven't. It came out 2 hours ago.
Oh, we should just listen to it and then come back and talk about it.
Well, yeah, do another pod.
We'll break down other people's podcasts. Doing a podcast.
The guy that
Go ahead.
The guy that commented on my profile, it was my picture of Mason with his tongue out. Mason said, "I said no, nice profile picture, buddy." I think the guy was also in like probably on about 3 chins. My
favorite's the people that like you post when you trap a bobcat and everyone's like, "I can't believe you hurt them. I can't believe you killed them." You know, and some people are like, "Did you release the females?" No, the females eat just as many turkeys as the males do. I guarantee it. You know what I mean? It just cracks me up. The people are like, "Why would you hurt that animal? They're so nice." I'm like, yeah, next time I trap one in my live trap, I'll bring it to your house and let it out inside and you tell me how nice that thing is.
When you're out hunting, let's say you're just a regular deer hunting set. If you see a coyote, do you shoot at it every single time?
Not with a rifle.
No, but with a bow.
If he'll come in, yeah.
So if a coyote comes walking by and you have your bow and with it, if it's in, okay. Because even even animals that don't have a season, you can shoot them day or night all year around. We put out a video that was basically so a coyote came in and it came in behind me and it was drinking at this pond and I didn't have a good angle to shoot at it. So I didn't. So I was just sitting there just filming it. Well, a rabbit comes screaming by the coyote and it's getting chased by a bobcat. And then the coyote starts chasing the rabbit as well. So, and then there's people in the comments saying, why would you shoot every coyote you see? And in my mind, like that was probably one of the most stupid questions ever, is like, okay, people don't understand like A, what coyotes can do, but B, just how many we have around here.
Yeah. Everyone's like, why would you shoot every single one you'd see? Well, buddy, go work on a family ranch for a year and you'll understand why every time I see one, I'm like,
well, have you seen the research about the coyotes? Like that they'll come from like hundreds of miles away to like create another like core area. Like that's why when you kill them, you can't get rid of them, because you kill them and they come from everywhere else and they establish another home range, because that's how they find out where they're going to live.
Some farmers, so I do a lot of coyote hunting. Some farmers won't let me hunt because they're like, well, if you kill the ones here, they're not really hurting my livestock, and I'm scared if you kill them, then the new ones that move in might try to kill my livestock. I've heard that multiple times.
Mm-hmm. Is that true if you do shoot them and, you know, when they like sound off or whatever, if they don't hear like either their pups or whatever it is, some sort of group of them, then won't they actually produce more than if you wouldn't?
Yes, I've heard that too. Yes. Yeah, and they and based on like
if you end up shooting like let's say there's a pack of coyotes and you end up like shooting 1 or 2 or whatever, and then later when like whether they sound off or, you know, they regroup or whatever they do, if they figure out that, hey, 1 or 2 of this pack is missing, the females will actually have more pups in that litter, you know, to try to replenish their population rather than just leaving them be. That's what I've heard. And again, that ain't like verbatim, but
it's news to me. That's pretty
I've heard that too. It's like it's like a breeding tactic that they use to make sure that there's like an ample population. Like they can control if they have a few pups or a lot of pups, like based on what the habitat needs. That's very interesting. Dr. Marcus Lashley, I had him on the podcast, and he studied a ton of coyotes and turkey and hogs, and the coyote stuff was super. That's where I learned that stuff. Was the coyote stuff was super interesting listening to him talk about it. They're a pretty sweet animal.
Yeah, I don't know, man. All I know is hunting season's about over. I still got a tag left, and there's quite a few of the hunting community that kind of suck. So
they do. Don't put anything on social media if you don't want criticism.
Yeah, if you have a light skin, don't post a picture of you holding an animal, because you'll get it.
Well, it's funny. You go to Total Archery Challenge and you see 400 people, and I'm sure half of them there are the ones that are in your comments. And you're like, man, that's crazy. Nobody's ever walked up to me and been like, hey, you suck. I don't like your posts. I don't like your podcast. I don't like your clips.
That innocent bobcat.
Yeah. Exactly.
I'd look at him, I'd get real close, and I'd say, and I'd do that shit again.
And I would.
That's perfect.
I just still, I know you're trying to wrap this up, and y'all have been on here for probably a good minute, but I just still can't get over if anyone takes anything away from this podcast, I just want it to be known that you would rather take a 2-year-old. I'm sorry, you'd rather take a 6-year-old 120 on public than a 150-inch 3-year-old. Correct?
If they're standing side by side, yes.
All right.
We're gonna pray for you. Don't worry.
Yeah.
We're gonna hope that your mind heals.
But I don't have that much public, so I mean.
Exactly. So.
Yeah, that was my next question: is how much public do you hunt?
When I'm in Kansas and I've been hunting for 3 weeks straight, and a 60-incher comes by.
Oh, hey, listen.
Add the 20, baby. Add the 20.
You're talking Oklahoma public land. You talk going to Kansas. If I'm burning that much money on a tag, I'm shooting 120. If it's the last day or maybe the first day, I don't know. I told you in Nebraska how much I worked for that little 8-point. He didn't break 100, but when I shot him, I screamed like I was a little girl.
That is true. That is a big mistake that I think we've made. Is the first decent deer, or call a 120 what you want to call it, whether that's big, decent, or a little dink. But I regret not shooting a 120 in Kansas.
Yeah, it would have been fun.
That's why I'm like, it depends on your, when they asked me the question, or when they played that, you said you wouldn't shoot. You would shoot a 3.5-year-old 150 side by side. If it's side by side by a 9-year-old deer, in that situation, no, I shoot 9.5-year-old deer on my private stuff.
Yes,
you're
on
taking me
private.
to Kansas because I have $500 and whatever in my pocket or invested in that hunt.
That's just an attack. That's not gas or anything like that.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I'm like, I'm not coming home empty-handed. Unless, if I have the opportunity not to come home, I'm not going to do it. And you talk about that anywhere out of state, if I have the opportunity to come home not empty-handed and not eat tag soup, then I'm going to take it.
I agree.
Yeah, absolutely.
So situational.
It is very situational. You don't get the situational context, though, on a 60-second clip on Facebook. People are like, you suck. I hate you. Go die. That's how people are.
I didn't even get the situation on here until Peyton was like, well, he hunts 40 acres that everyone around him kills 30 deer totaled up. My mindset might change in that situation, but I'm not in that situation.
Yeah, exactly. No, I 100% get it, and I was just giving you crap. But and also just for the people on Facebook that's commented on that video, I know it's like not really possible, and if it is, you'd probably hunt a high fence that there's a 150-inch 2-year-old running around. Okay, and again, we do not have that age class around here for a 120-inch 9-year-old. I was just saying extremes. I was saying I'd rather shoot a young big deer rather than a old, basket rack deer is what I'm saying. I know the likelihood of a 150-inch 2-year-old is very low. So just for those people on the comments there.
Yeah. Taylor, shout out OD. Where can people follow you and listen to y'all's stuff or watch your videos?
YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok.
Outdoor Defiance.
Yeah, everything. TikTok might be Team OD.
And big news to those guys out there listening. We're actually teaming up with Outdoor Defiance. They're sending us pins next year, letting us come hunt.
Yeah.
No, it's Outdoor Defiance on TikTok.
Okay, cool. Well, we're gonna try to do these live Q&A type of podcasts maybe a couple times a month. So make sure to subscribe to wherever you're listening or follow wherever you're listening, and catch you guys in the next one. Thanks, boys.
Jesus loves you.
Peace.